What up YouTube, my name is Matthew Dodson, I'm a barber. Today I'm going to be showing you my process on an open 2 buzz cut medium fade. I am using the Stylecraft Instinct clippers. Man, I got these things like 2 weeks ago and I haven't put them down since. I love everything about them. So far I don't have one single complaint. So yeah, I already went ahead and ran the open 2 on the top of his head and all around actually. So now I'm taking the 1.5 open and I'm going up along the parietal ridge, just coming off the shape of the head here, making sure I got every hair there. And now I'm setting in my bald line with I'm using here these Babyless Low Pro trimmers. I don't have these things set like super zero gap because for me, it's easier for me to take the bald line out with those. So yeah, for me, I like to get the bald line as close to perfect as I can, just because it helps me throughout the fade process kind of stick to my line and not get lost in the fade. Is if I go too fast and make that bald line too rough, then sometimes there'll be a dark spot that drops down lower than another spot. So and I'm just going around making sure I like the shape of this bald line, and then cleaning up all the hairs before we come in with our foil shaver. So now with my foil shaver, I don't really have a specific rhyme or reason to how I do this. The only thing that I like to do is make sure that I don't go right up to that line that I set in with my trimmer, because for me it just makes it hard to get out later on. I guess I just kind of, depending on the client's skin, and some people's skin handle the foil shaver really well and some people's don't. So if their skin bumps up and stuff, I tend to go with the grain more than against the grain and kind of just work at it. But you'll be able to feel that out. And so yeah, just get everything nice and balded out. Remember, don't go right up to that line. Leave yourself a little bit of space there, so that line's doesn't set in a crazy harsh line or anything. So now I have my instincts, and it's with the lever open. I'm creating my first guideline. Most of the time I stick to a finger's width. This one I went a little bit more. It just gives you a little bit more space to blend the fade in later on. And the same thing goes with the bald line for this guideline and the guidelines ahead. I just try to keep it as nice and neat as possible. I guess it takes a little longer, but for me it just makes the fade come out a lot better. Still lever open, just making sure that line is as clean as possible, going over it just to make sure every hair is the same length there. So now I go ahead and I close my clipper all the way, and as you can see, I'm just taking the corner of my blade and knocking at that bottom line, just bumping it up about 1/4 of the way up that line with the closed clipper. So the next step is going to be open that lever about halfway and then continue working at that line. Just take your time and it'll blend out, and you might have to do a little bit of lever play. If you see a dark spot, close that lever up a little bit more, and just slowly work at it, and that line will blend right out. I like to use the corner of my blade so that you're not hitting a bunch of surface area that you don't want to. So as I'm working at this line, you can clearly see that bottom line isn't fully gone yet. And so my next step, I take my zero gapped trimmers and just edge at that bottom line, and that'll disappear here in just a minute. So now I take my fully zero gap trimmers. These are the Gold FX trimmers, and this thing is zeroed. I mean, it's probably a 000. So it just takes out that line that's in between my Low Pro trimmers that aren't quite zero gapped. And it fully removes that thing. Personally, I think this is the most satisfying part of the haircut, fully getting rid of this skin line, man. When you just slowly chip away at that thing, it kind of sets once you have that skin line blended out, that sets the foundation for the rest of your fade. And then you just follow the steps that we've been doing this whole time, and then the rest of the fade kind of just comes together. Just take your time, use the corners. It's all about the details. So So now I take my one guard and fully open my lever, creating my next guideline. The guideline is going to be faint because remember we're blending into that 1.5, so it's not going to be a really distinct line. But just try to stay consistent all the way around the head to make sure that it's level all the way around. Try to just imagine where you're going with that guideline blended into that 1.5. So the next step before moving to the half guard, I close the lever with that number 1 guard still on, and I just attack that line. It's not going to fully get rid of it, but it's going to help soften it up so that when you put your half guard on, it's not so much that you have to get rid of. So now I throw on my half guard. I usually start lever halfway open. When I put the half guard on, I just find that for most hair types, that usually gets rid of the line the most. However, if I see dark spots, I'll play with the lever and close it up a little bit or open it if need be. But notice here how I'm using my corners. Sometimes it doesn't look like I'm using my corners, but I'll have the clipper tilted so that I'm not using the full blade. Because the idea here is you want it to be blurry. And if you take your whole blade, and sometimes the shape of the head or indentations, the hair lays different ways. So you always want to use your corner, especially when you have your half guard on. But just continue to slowly work at it, use your corners, close your lever if need be. What also helps me is taking a step back, looking at it from different angles. As you can see, just be patient and the blend will come together if you follow these steps. So now I'm taking my 1.5 and I close the lever fully because remember the biggest guard we used was that 1.5 open to blend into the 2 on top. So I just close the lever and go through and try to remove that faint line that was left between the 1 open and the 1.5 open, which would be a 1.5 closed. As you can see, this thing is coming together nicely. So now after I cleaned up his facial hair and washed him up, I'm setting in his vertical bars and doing his hairline. But yeah, man, that's it. As you can see, the fade came out pretty nice. As I continue to make these videos, I'll get better at the camera angles and stuff like that. So if you can think of anything that you want to see or that'll help me out, just let me know in the comments. And if you like it, like and subscribe. I'm having fun with it, man. So until next time, thank you. Peace.